Imagine a place where the sun rises for only a few hours, if at all, where icy winds sweep across vast white landscapes, and where lakes and rivers don't thaw, not even in summer. These are the frozen arteries of our planet, and unlike most bodies of water that transform with the seasons, these ones are locked in a permanent deep freeze. From Siberia's hidden ice-covered giants to the high-altitude glaciers of the Andes, today we explore the world's most mysterious, dangerous, and permanently frozen lakes and rivers, bodies of water that never melt. Get ready to journey into Earth's coldest realms, where time stands still and ice rules the land. Buried beneath 4 kilometers of Antarctic ice lies Lake Vostok, one of the largest subglacial lakes in the world. It's about the size of Lake Ontario, but unlike any ordinary lake, no sunlight has touched its surface for millions of years. Temperatures here hover at nearly -89 degrees Celsius, and despite being a liquid lake, it's completely sealed off by ice. The pressure of the overlying glacier keeps it from freezing entirely, but it remains inaccessible to the surface world. Some scientists believe it holds ancient life forms, possibly unchanged for eons. In 2012, a Russian research team drilled into it for the first time, hoping to uncover secrets locked in its dark, icy depths. This is not just a frozen lake, it's a time capsule beneath a frozen desert. Also located in Antarctica's McMurdo Dry Valleys, Lake Fryxell appears as a shining mirror of ice. It's perpetually frozen at the surface, despite the fact that a liquid layer of fresh water exists beneath the ice cap. Even during Antarctica's summer, when temperatures may creep just above freezing, the lake's surface remains locked in ice. The environment is so extreme that scientists use this lake to simulate conditions on Mars. The organisms surviving here, in the cold, low-light, oxygen-poor waters, might even hold clues to alien life. Lake Fryxell is a perfect example of nature's frozen resilience, silent, still, and otherworldly. Lake Bonney is another remarkable frozen lake in the McMurdo Dry Valleys not far from Lake Fryxell. It is perpetually covered in a thick layer of ice, even though it is fed by glacial meltwater during the brief Antarctic summer. The lake has 2 lobes separated by a narrow ridge, and its strange chemical stratification, high salinity and lack of oxygen in deeper layers, creates an environment inhospitable to most known life. NASA studies this lake to understand how organisms might survive on icy moons like Europa, so while it may seem frozen and lifeless, Lake Bonney could help us understand extraterrestrial survival. Despite being one of the coldest and driest places on Earth, Don Juan Pond remains unfrozen due to its incredibly high salt concentration. Located in the right valley of Antarctica, this shallow hypersaline lake stays liquid even at -50 degrees Celsius. The salt content is so extreme that it prevents freezing, yet the surrounding land remains a polar desert with almost no precipitation. It's a natural paradox, a body of water that never freezes in a place that never thaws. Don Juan Pond challenges everything we thought we knew about water and temperature. It's a scientific marvel in Earth's harshest climate. Straddling the border between eastern Kazakhstan and southern Siberia, Lake Zaysan is one of the oldest lakes in the world, possibly dating back 60 million years. In winter, the lake becomes a solid sheet of ice, and yet, unlike many bodies of water in the region, large parts of its surface remain frozen almost year-round. Because of Siberia's brutal temperatures and prolonged winters, the lake's thaw period is short and limited. Even then, parts of the lake can remain under ice cover due to the influence of surrounding mountains and cold currents. For locals, the frozen lake becomes a road, a playground, and even a hunting ground in the harsh winter months. While Lake Titicaca itself doesn't freeze due to its vast size and elevation, its small, high-altitude tributaries tucked into the Bolivian and Peruvian Andes often do, and some remain in a frozen state nearly all year. These highland rivers, fed by glacial melt, run through remote valleys where temperatures remain below freezing for most of the year. Locals have adapted to these conditions for centuries, often using the frozen rivers as travel routes between villages. It's a reminder of how communities have long learned to live with and even thrive in the cold. The Lena River, one of Russia's mightiest waterways, is frozen for nearly 8 months each year. In its upper reaches, near its source in the Baikal Mountains, parts of the river can remain frozen even into early summer. Thick ice covers the water, turning the river into a frozen highway used by remote communities for transportation. These icy paths have been essential for centuries, allowing trade and movement across Siberia's vast, inaccessible terrain. Here, frozen water isn't just a geographical feature, it's a vital lifeline. Flowing through the heart of Yakutia, which is honestly one of the coldest inhabited regions on Earth, the Indigirka River remains frozen for most of the year. In places like Oymyakon, temperatures can drop below -60 degrees Celsius, and the river just becomes this unbroken expanse of solid ice. Even during those brief thaws, large portions of the river are still locked in permafrost or covered in ancient ice sheets. In winter, trucks and supply vehicles actually drive across the frozen riverbed. It becomes part of Russia's legendary ice roads. The Indigirka is more than just a river. It's, well, a symbol of survival against nature's most extreme conditions. At nearly 4,300 meters above sea level, Pangong TSO, that famous lake straddling the India-China border, partially freezes in winter. But its smaller tributaries, glacial-fed streams running through the Himalayas, often stay completely frozen all year round. These icy channels are framed by barren, snow-covered mountains and wind-swept plains. Even during the peak of summer, temperatures remain so low that thawing is really minimal. Trekking routes cross over these frozen water bodies, and their shimmering surfaces reflect the blue-white majesty of the Himalayas. These are rivers carved by glaciers, preserved in ice, and honestly, surrounded by silence. Hidden within East Antarctica's Tarn Basin are loads of small lakes that are permanently frozen. These lakes are shallow and entirely encased in ice, both on the surface and deep within. Scientists believe that geothermal heat from below the crust might keep the lowest layers from freezing solid, but their surfaces stay thick with ice all year round. Studying these lakes actually helps researchers understand the nature of permafrost and ice-covered environments on other planets. They're frozen, mysterious, and, well, completely untouched by human civilization. In a world where everything is constantly changing, these frozen lakes and rivers really stand as symbols of permanence, mystery, and resilience. They defy the warmth of summer, the passage of time, and even the limits of human exploration. But more than that, they challenge us to look deeper, beneath the surface, beneath the ice, to discover what still waits, untouched, beneath Earth's coldest skin.